Are the Florida Gators a top 10 team in college football in 2025?
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free to visit the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Thursday. As always, I am Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. And we're going to go through what was Joel Klatt's top 25 that he put out. Representative of Fox Sports, of course, because he put out the top 25. And I was very interested by some of the rankings in it, but I was also just interested in the way that he tried to sell this. Because, and look, where you end up on these rankings right now after the spring portal has mostly ended, not exactly where you're going to end up during the season. We know that all the time. But also just, I feel like the way he tried to sell it was interesting because he tried to sell it as Florida's number 13. He tried to sell it as he's incredibly bullish on Florida, the same way, that I've said I'm bullish on Florida. But he said he's incredibly bullish on Florida, but he has them ranked 13th. And to me, I feel like that's not very bullish. Right? Like, I get it. And he even was like, oh, yeah, like the schedule is tough. The schedule is brutal, this, that, and the third. But when we're talking about the preseason rankings, we're not talking about the schedule. We're talking about who are the top, and even during the season, by the way. Like, I know a lot of this goes based on wins and losses, but if we're really trying to go through who are the power rankings here, it's who are the top 25 teams in college football, right? And so I don't think it makes sense to be like, yeah, schedule's brutal. Here's the ranking. So I think that's interesting. We will talk about. He made a comment about DJ Lagway included in these rankings, and we'll talk about that next. But the top 25 after spring for Joel Klatt, Penn State's first, which makes sense, right? They hired Jim Knowles from Ohio State. They're returning quite a few key players, including quarterbacks. So sure, Texas is 2. I think that they're going to be a really great team. So I'm fine with it. I don't know if they're the second best team in the country, right? But it's also like, even if I don't say they're second, I don't think I'd go lower than 4th or 5th for them. And so I'm not going to fight over being number 2 there. 3 is Ohio State, which reigning defending national champs. I feel like they'll probably open up as number 1 overall, but they are replacing a lot. Quarterback, 2 running backs, a couple receivers, few offensive linemen, defensive players throughout. Like they're replacing a lot. So I understand people being less bullish or more specifically bearish on Ohio State this year. Oregon at number 4 is interesting. Again, this is recruiting, production, all that stuff. Or projection. Sorry, not production. Projection there. Clemson at 5. I think that everybody thinks they're going to destroy the ACC this year, which I think so too. And that's not even like an ACC week thing. It's just Clemson right now seems like roster-wise, they're where they were when they were genuinely competing for national championships a few years back. Notre Dame at 6 is not surprising. They're always going to get the nod. LSU at 7. Georgia at 8. Alabama at 9. So there are 4 SEC teams so far through the top 9, but 3 of them are 7, 8, 9. Well, I was 6 afraid of 7. There we go. Number 10 is Illinois. And I'll give more, I'll call it criticism later on. But number 10 is Illinois. So your top 10 has Penn State Big 10, Texas SEC, Ohio State Big 10, Oregon Big 10, Clemson ACC, Notre Dame Independent, LSU SEC, Georgia SEC, Alabama SEC, Illinois Big 10. 4 SEC, 4 Big 10, 1 ACC, and 1 independent that's really ACC adjacent in Notre Dame, but sure. So 1 more ACC there, or one independent there. That's your top 10. Then at 11, you've got South Carolina, who finished very strong last year, finished just outside the playoff, really, and they were one of the teams people talked about. I mean, even just in these top, and we'll say Michigan 12, okay, and we know Florida's 13 already. We've talked about that. So in those top 12, Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Clemson, Notre Dame, Georgia made the college football playoff last year. So 7 of them, and the 5 that didn't are now in here. And again, this is top 25 rankings. It's not necessarily saying that's what they're going to end up being ranked. It's saying what they're going to look like at the start of the season right now. So Florida behind Penn State, Texas, Ohio State, Oregon, Clemson, Notre Dame, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, Illinois, South Carolina, and Michigan. I kind of hate it. But the thing with me saying that Florida is 13th is just interesting to me that he's calling it bullish, because I don't think that's being bullish. I don't think it's being bearish, but to me, it's just one of those things where it's like, why are you saying you're bullish when you have them where I think a lot of people have them right now? And I think that's just odd to be like, yeah, no, I'm super for them. Not really. BYU is 14th. Arizona State is 15th. Kansas State is 16th. Iowa State is 17th. So we got 4 Big 12 schools. The first Big 12 schools in there. Got 4 in a row there, which I assume he kind of just bunched this up and was like, hey, these 4 teams, one of them's winning the Big 12. I feel like that's how he did it, which I don't think is a bad take to have there. Arizona State probably has maybe the highest expectations of the bunch, but Iowa State, I'll die for Matt Campbell, so I'll always go to bat for him. BYU, they've got money. Kansas State, they've got Avery Johnson, so hard to doubt him. 18 is Miami, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I don't think that's a horrible ranking, but there's obviously concerns there. 19 is Texas A&M, so the SEC gets back on track there. 20 is Ole Miss. 21 is Indiana, who were the Cinderellas last year. 22 is Auburn, who, I mean, look, recruiting ranking-wise, they've done a great job, absolutely. 23 is Iowa. 24 is Baylor. And 25, one last SEC teams. So you got one last SEC team. So you got Texas, LSU, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Auburn, and Oklahoma. You got 10 of the top 25 are in the SEC. Feels like how a lot of, like genuinely, I feel like most preseason top 25s that we see from big media are going to have 8 to 10 SEC teams in there. And it's probably not going to that's probably not how it's going to end up at the end of the season. But during these preseason top 25s, a lot of times you do go by the brand, by the helmet, whatever it may be. Like you could put Georgia in there in a year right now and just be like, oh, well, it's Kirby Smart. Like they're going to be somewhere in there, right? Sure. But like you can give them that right now. But yeah, I think that Florida 13, like it's not horrible, but interesting. We'll talk about it in just a minute on Locked On Gators. There is nothing like the atmosphere of an NBA playoff game. Every bucket, every defensive stop, every moment feels huge. It is electric in the arena. And with Game Time, you can be a part of it without the stress of last-minute ticket hunting. Game Time makes it fast and easy to get playoff tickets, even when demand is sky high. Prices on the app actually go down as tip-off gets closer, and their last-minute deals can save you up to 60%. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and code Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code Locked On College for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free by visiting the podcast and on YouTube. And we're still talking about Joel Klatt's top 25. We're going to talk about it for the entire show. But he gave some reasoning for Florida that I thought was just odd. Because part of it was him saying that he's a huge believer in DJ Lagway, right? Like that's why Florida's 13, because he believes in DJ Lagway. Like he's a huge fan of Lagway, really believes him. Maybe this is me. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's me. But it's weird to me because logistically or logically, this just doesn't track, right? Like this is a roster that in 2024 won 8 games with one of the most difficult schedules in college football history, really. Won 8 games with one of the most difficult schedules in college football history, right? Who were you losing from that? Top 2 receivers, sure. A running back, sure. Your quarterback for the first few games of the season, sure. A corner you had for the first half of the season, sure. A linebacker, sure. 2 nose tackles, sure. But like your punter, sure. I don't get how national media can look at this Florida Gators team. Again, that won 8 games. Won 8 games with one of the hardest schedules of all time. Something that people have consistently still talked about as that's an insane schedule to have. Right? So Florida had that schedule. Won 8 games with it. Bring back their sophomore quarterback. Bring back 4 starting offensive linemen. Bring back 3 of their front 4 players. Bring back 4 significant contributors, 5 significant contributors in the secondary. Both your starting safeties, one of your starting corners, and another guy that started the last half of the season at corner, your starting star. Bringing back all those guys. Bring back one of your starting linebackers and someone that played starter level snaps last year at linebacker. Starting tight end. 2 of your 3 major contributing running backs from last year. A guy that 2 years ago was an off freshman receiver that was injured last year. I just don't get how you can see a team that last year won those 8 games. This year returns many of those key players. And you go, yeah, I'm bullish on them. 13th. That's just crazy to me. Like, I'm more annoyed at saying, yeah, I'm bullish on them, when I think that you're probably where a lot of people are going to wind up on them. Like, I feel like when we look at national media, a lot of national media is going to have Florida in that 12 to 16 range. And maybe I'm wrong by saying that, but I do feel like a lot of national media is going to have Florida between 12 and 16. And so I just hate the don't worry, I'm definitely being optimistic stuff about them, especially when you have all that context that I gave you, right? Team won 8 games last year with an incredibly difficult schedule. They returned all that talent. And again, you've got DJ Lagway back. You've got a player at the most valuable individual position in any sport. And I know that this is a thing. Every time I say it, people get mad and they go, oh, what about this position? No. Like basketball, you can't say any one position. Because if you have an elite center, you can play through that elite center there. If you have an elite point guard, you can do that. An elite wing, you could do like you can do so many things there. It doesn't like it could be one guy, sure, but it doesn't mean that that position is the most valuable. Baseball, nope. There's not. You have the Cy Young and lose every other game, and so you still suck. Football, you've got the QB, you've got the most valuable position answered. You've got the position that contributes to the most wins answered. Florida has that. And he's coming back. He went 6-1 as a starter last year, 6-0 in games that he started and finished. And he's back. And you go, I'm bullish on them. Then shouldn't they be higher? You look at everything this team's done, the recruiting classes that they've been bringing in, the production that they've got returning, the starting quarterback coming back for his sophomore year. And you go, I'm bullish on them, but I have them as not a playoff caliber team. Again, I know them being ranked 13th doesn't mean that in this instance they won't make the college football playoff. It doesn't mean that they'll finish outside of that, whatever. I don't care. My point is, you're saying, oh, I'm really bullish on them, super into the quarterback that they've got, but not in the college football playoff. Huh? Like, that just doesn't make sense to me. And again, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm doing something that I generally think I don't do, which is like, maybe that's me drinking the Kool-Aid. I personally, I don't think it's me drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not saying that my expectation is the national championship. I'm not saying that my expectation is to make it past the first round of the college football playoff. My expectation, my bar for Florida here is make the college football playoff. And I think that especially when you look at the roster itself, I think this is a top 6 to 8 roster in college football. Like, my concern comes from the coaching staff, not even the team. I just don't get that BS of I'm super bullish on them. You know what I think it is? I think you want to say you're bullish on them so that you can say that. Like not that you are bullish. I think you want to say that you're bullish so that you can say you're bullish on them. So that you can get Florida fans to go, you know what? Joel Klatt was bullish on Florida. I don't know. I think 13 is again, I'm not saying it's the worst thing ever. I'm more annoyed with you saying, hey, I'm going to give them a similar ranking to how many people are going to give them, but I'm going to tell you that I'm super high on them and super bullish on them. I'm more annoyed at the BSing. That's what I'm more annoyed about. I'm not mad at them being ranked 13th. I'm mad at you ranking them where basically, again, I think a lot of national media are going to rank them and then trying to be like, oh, no, trust me, I'm super high on them. Like, no, you're not. I think it's just, kind of hedging it a little bit. And I hate that. And that irritates me. And if you're listening or watching, you're hearing that. You're getting because for me, I've always said, my main thing is like, I want to be honest. I want to be educational. That's it. Like entertaining, of course, also. But like have some pride there. Be honest, be entertaining, be educational, sure, but like be real also. And I think that's not, and that pisses me off a bit. I'm not going to lie to you. We are going to talk about where I disagree with some of those rankings when we get back with Locked On Gators. Did you know that your Fire TV stick is also an Xbox? You can turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required for it. You just grab your paired controller, subscribe or sign into Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles. EA Sports College Football 25, Call of Duty Black Ops 6, NHL. Do it all as easily as you stream your favorite shows. It's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription and compatible controller are required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd Gen, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd Gen, and the Fire TV Cube 3rd Gen. Thanks for being Locked On Gators, your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, wherever it's the podcast and on YouTube. And just looking at these rankings, I'm not going to bash them a ton. It's just there are some that I want to get my takes off, basically, is what I'm going to go at. And I think I'm in the minority on this one. I don't know why I said minority like that. I think I'm in the minority on this one where I am not bought in on LSU being – I mean, he has him 7th. I'm not bought in on them being a top 10 team at all. I think that they're a team that has Garrett Nussmeier, who, many people think is going to be potentially the first quarterback drafted next year in the 2026 NFL draft. Sure. Potential number 1 overall pick because he's a quarterback and potentially the top quarterbacks. Sure. But they're also a team that went heavy on the portal, that for the first time in a long time lost their state in recruiting. Like LSU does not lose Louisiana kids. Like that's a thing that is so rare for Louisiana kids to leave Louisiana is very rare. That happened. You're replacing a lot there. Your offensive line, you've lost quite a few guys there. It's just I don't buy them as a top 10 team. Like I think I look at LSU the same way I think a lot of people look at Florida. Also, let's keep it real here. LSU was on quit watch last year. Like they were genuinely on quit watch. They've still got that same head coach. They've still got that same starting quarterback. They were on quit watch. And I do think that they did quit after Florida beat them. I'm sorry. That kind of mental weakness, I'm not banking on. And I'm not drafting that early on also. I'll say that. So I'm not bought in on LSU being a top 10 team. Illinois, I can't. I don't think that they've recruited at a high enough level to be ranked in the top 10. I think they play gritty football. I think they absolutely do that. They bring you down to an ugly level, and they're good at it though. They're playing press man coverage and going at it with you. Of course, they've got Luke Altmaier at quarterback, had a great year, but I don't think he's a needle mover. I don't think he was asked to do as much as people are pretending to be impressed with. I don't view them as a top 10 team. I view them as a bottom of the top 25 team. Maybe. I don't know. I don't view them as a top 10 team. That's just, to me, that's just wrong. Michigan at 12. Again, I don't think that they've done enough as far as replacing everybody that they lost when Harbaugh left, whether it was the draft or the portal, whatever it was. I don't think they've done a good enough job yet replacing that. I think that exodus after Harbaugh left meant it was going to be 2 years, as in 2 seasons before you're even back in the conversation. Had a strong end of the season. Yeah, sure, you beat Alabama handedly in the bowl game. You beat Ohio State, who ended up winning the national championship, so sure. But I don't buy it as, because of those 2 things, really. Because I do think that those 2 things are a major factor. Getting Bryce Underwood, major factor, sure. But it's like, I don't view those things as like, yeah, now all of a sudden you're a top 12 team. I can't see that. South Carolina at 11 is one that I'm very iffy on. One, I've not been shy. I do not believe in Shane Beamer. The way that he's lost to Florida twice, both losses are brutal. I don't know which one's more brutal. The first time that South Carolina lost to Florida, yes, Florida's more talented, but Florida wasn't 30 points more talented, and Florida dusted them. Second time, South Carolina was winning the majority of the game, should have won the game, but choked it at home. I don't know what's worse, choking that at home or getting blown out on the road there. So I don't know what's worse. But I do think South Carolina last year, they tried to Kentucky every game. and I've said this before, Kentucky, Iowa, the Steelers, like they play that gritty, ugly game where it's like, hey, we're going to turn every game into a rock fight. And I've said it before, don't argue with an idiot because they'll drag you down to their level and then beat you with experience. And I think that's what South Carolina, Kentucky, the Steelers, like I think that's what they do. Not necessarily an idiot as in, oh, you're stupid for this, but they're like, hey, we're going to bring you down to this bad, ugly level of basketball, football, whatever sport you're playing. And that's how we're going to beat you. I don't know. I need to see you do that consistently because I do think that now, especially, like if you're a talented team that can avoid being dragged down into that, you should crush them. I don't think that they're sticking with people. And maybe I'm wrong, but I just need to see it. That's why I'm not bashing that they're 11th. I'm just saying like I need to see it from them because I don't. Maybe I'm missing it. Maybe it's me, but I don't see them as number 11. Auburn. Auburn is one of those teams that I feel like every offseason so far under Hugh Freeze, media has started to be like, oh, Auburn might be back. They got these recruits. They got these things in the transfer portal. They did this. They did that. And then every damn year, they stink it up at times. Every year, they get such ugly losses. And I can't buy into it at this point because of Hugh Freeze. Like, I know that he's the guy. He's the reason everyone's hyping Auburn up right now. Because it wasn't happening under Harsin like that. It's with Hugh Freeze. I know he's the reason. But he's the reason that I can't buy in because they've lost so many games in his Auburn tenure because of him. I can't buy in on that. Like, that's just crazy to me. Having them in the top 25 is nuts. It is. Talent, I think they're a talented roster. But man, coaching talent or the coaching ability is just not there. Like they've lost because of him. Which is one reason I get it if people are skeptical of Florida. I do. I think Florida is one of those teams. You could look at the roster and you say, hey, like they've lost quite a few games because of Billy Napier. I'm going to be skeptical of them. I'm fine with people being skeptical of Florida. I get it. You got to prove it. Sure. I've said LSU needs to prove it to me. Illinois, South Carolina, Michigan, Auburn. Those are all teams I said today need to prove it to me. So I get it. I understand being skeptical. My thing with the Florida ranking is saying is giving them the, I think, popular ranking and then going, I'm super high on them. Might be super high, but not super high on them. I think that's just silly. And I will say one omission that I noted and that I dislike, SMU. I think they've done a really good job of adding talent under Rhett Lashley. I think he's a good enough coach. Hell, they just won the ACC. Like, they did it. And they're behind Miami? What? Like, what? They're behind the team that didn't even make the conference championship? Because they folded important games? I can't buy in on that. That's just, to me, that's just, yeah, I think SMU should be in it. I think that they've earned that. I think Rhett Lashley has earned that for them and earned that with them. So I think that they should absolutely be in it. I'm not saying that, SMU's back or that they're going to be in the national championship again. But yeah, that's just nuts to me. Also, yeah, they lost the ACC championship, but they made it, and then they made the college football playoff, which they lost, but that was always gonna happen. But like they just made the game, made the ACC championship, made the college football playoff. I think they got better this year, and they're not in it. They're not in that top 25, but Miami is. Which Miami, look, again, for me, I think with Miami, it's not even about it being Miami. And it's not about Florida State being Florida State. It's just those two teams are doing things in a way that I think is so clearly the wrong way to do things that I don't get it. Like being so portal reliant, to me, is just bad process. And I don't think it's going to work out. And having Carson Beck, who is still not throwing, by the way, a lot of Miami trolls about, Lagway not throwing yet. Lagway not throwing yet. Lagway's throwing, bitch. Carson Beck's not. So I don't want to hear it anymore about that. I don't get Miami being 18. That's just nonsensical to me. I'm going to be honest with you. It's just crazy. I don't get it. I don't get Miami being on there. I'm really not bought in. I don't think that they did a good job in the portal this year. And look, last year I said they did a good job in the portal. Last year I said that I thought Florida would beat them because of it being week 1. Obviously I was wrong there, but again, like I feel like I give credit where credit is due, or where I feel credit is due. I do not think that they've done a good job of replacing talent. Especially, I don't think they did a good job of replacing talent there. I think that they've become too portal reliant, too portal dependent, and that they're not doing their due diligence with some things. But hey, we'll find out week 4. We'll find out for Florida. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free if it's the podcast and on YouTube. We'll be back tomorrow to talk more Florida Gators. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI, and I'll see you all next time.